Full-time score, Bournemouth 2, Arsenal 0. Ladies and gentlemen, what a game this was. I was just live for this fixture, and there's a lot to discuss. We're going to dive right into it. But first, I want to ask Arsenal fans, talk to me. Go down in the comments and leave your thoughts on exactly what you think about the red card, how the match played out, and just generally everything surrounding Arsenal's state in the Premier League at this very moment. Because I feel like this match, depending on the whole season, could be a huge flashpoint. Right now, the most kind of pressing issue for Arsenal is the fact that Saliba, who picked up a red card in the 30th minute of this match, he's going to have to miss the Liverpool game. Initially, people were speculating it's going to be 3 games, but it is, in fact, only 1 game. That is a clarification that needs to be made because it was only a denial of a goal-scoring opportunity and not specifically dangerous play. Dangerous play is a 3-game ban. Denial of a goal-scoring opportunity is a 1-game ban. I also had that mistake initially once the red card was very first served out, but that's clarification that needs to be made. The game itself, not a whole lot to talk about in the sense of Arsenal was, trying to grow into the game. And while the lineups weren't particularly favorable due to injury for Arsenal, I mean, you look at the starting lineup, and in that starting lineup for Arsenal, you have 3 center backs playing across the back 4, and you have 3 less than attacking midfielders. I mean, I'd say that Partey and Rice are pretty close to being outright defensive midfielders, and Marino is more of a box-to-box kind of player. But point being, a very, very, very pragmatic lineup. As soon as Saliba is, given the red card, Arteta makes a weird change. And this, I think, I'm not a football coach. I have no credentials. I'm an idiot talking to you through my camera and the internet. But the fact of the matter is, you sign Raheem Sterling, who you praised for, being a talented player from your time working with City, and that's a very justifiable reason to sign a player and a understandable and normal thing to say. What's weird to me and what's not normal is they got their first loss in 11 matches in all competitions this season. That's their first loss all season for Arsenal. 2-0 loss away from home to Bournemouth. And quite frankly, I think it's a simple case of mismanagement. Raheem Sterling wasn't great, no. But Kiwior gets subbed on for Sterling. I don't know exactly when, in the 37th minute. So 7 minutes passed. Not a whole lot of time. Mind you, Bournemouth, they had some chances, but it wasn't like there was this immediate oh my God, they're going to score this very second. But what's worse is throughout the game, as the game spreads on, the first goal comes in the 70th minute through a wonderful piece of set piece kind of interplay between the Bournemouth players. It was a short corner that gets kind of passed into the near post where Kluivert just kind of flicks it on, and Christie's there unmarked running into the box. Midfield runner smashes it with his left foot into the upper bins. Beautiful goal, wonderful finish, well-deserved from Bournemouth, who were working really hard to break down this Arsenal defensive structure. The penalty itself, listen, Kiwior takes a heavy touch. He is without a doubt at fault. But for Arteta to 2 minutes after that, just yank him, oh no, you're coming off, to bring on, get this, Ethan Nwaneri and Gabriel Jesus, who did nothing. You achieved nothing, bro. And I'm not trying to, I don't know what is kind of possessing me to crash out right now on Mikel Arteta for no reason. I'm happy as a Liverpool fan that Saliba's missing the game. I'm happy that you have maybe caused some discontent amongst the ranks by pulling a new signing, Sterling, who you're giving the start. And I understand it's a red card, so that one's a bit more justifiable. But to bring on Kiwior, have him play on the right side. If I'm not mistaken, he's left-footed. Is he? Let's see. What foot is he? He's left-footed. You played him for the most part of the game on the right-hand side. You had Ben White kind of shifting with him as the right center back or the right back. And the moment Kiwior takes a heavy touch with his foot, and it obviously gives Evan Nilsson the go-ahead to take the next touch and basically run away with it and lead to Raya giving up the penalty, to yank him after 2 minutes, like, you are directly associating the blame to that to, to Kiwior. Now, if Raya had saved the penalty, would you have kept him on? Genuine question. Because what does it achieve now? Pulling off a defensive sub that you made half 40 minutes into the game, 37 minutes into the game. You make a defensive sub down a man in a game where you're missing your most creative players, Bukayo Saka and Odegaard. If that's not an example of total game mismanagement, besides just the idea of running into this game with three, defensive mids in your lineup, and I get that basically every creative attacking midfielder from Arsenal has left the club besides Odegaard, who is, unfortunately for Arsenal fans, injured today. It's just frankly weird for me. And I feel like Arteta is kind of losing it. And it's not to say that ultimately there's this impending, total downfall of Arsenal. That's totally not the case. Saliba will affect the Liverpool game. His absence will totally affect that. Beyond that, it's really a matter of getting the right rotations for Arsenal to keep players fit, but also to keep players content. Today was, no one got injured, so that's a plus. But besides that, it was an absolute disaster class in just organization from Arsenal. And even worse, VAR didn't paint themselves in any good graces. Let me be honest. I'm very happy that Saliba picked up a red card and doesn't have to face Liverpool. Every single fan of any single team will tell you that if that opposing team's star center back's out, no doubt you're going to be happy. But when we got, and I'll put the image on the screen here, when we got Howard Webb sitting in the arena, touching his ear, you'd think he's 007 or something. Mate, why on earth is he there in the stands with a mic set? From an optics perspective, just straight up from an optics perspective, it's almost as if they want to get people infuriated about VAR so it's scrapped entirely so they can just protect the refs still. I genuinely can't explain it otherwise, because why is he watching the game and then as soon as the guy's going to VAR, he's like, hey mate. I get he's like the boss or whatever of VAR, and they've kind of given him this unwarranted, frankly, an unearned responsibility of being in charge of everyone and not really having to explain everything. Ultimately, if we're being real, and I'm saying this as a Liverpool fan right now, after the Arsenal red card to Saliba, which I'm happy for, but, I do have to say, even with the way that played out, even with the way that potentially in the future, some things may end up, favoring Liverpool, may end up going against Liverpool, and may end up favoring, a team like Arsenal in the future too. I don't want favor, I want fairness. And I don't want these schmucks ruining the Premier League any longer than they already have. So for me, the only realistic option, the only reasonable choice that the Premier League has is a absolute independent third party that comes in and operates VAR. I don't want them to be refs. I don't want them to be even Premier League employees. I want them to be a third party independent commission. There needs to be regulation at this point. The inconsistency is laughable because while on one hand, I want to sit here and just for 10 minutes, just kind of dunk on Arteta for being silly with his subs, I have to talk about Humpty Dumpty here. I got to talk about Howard Webb. And I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of it. Even if it's favored my team, I don't care. I just don't want VAR to be the one thing we talk about every week on week on week. There's a lot of red cards this weekend. whole separate topic to discuss. But quite frankly, I think that this game kind of comes down to Arteta just maybe not being as prepared with the resources that he has as disposable in the squad. Quite frankly, like I think getting rid of Vieira and then Smith Rowe and Nelson, you don't achieve, like I get that a lot of them are pure profit, Smith Rowe and Nelson that is, and then Vieira's only on loan. But we're already seeing the effects, and this can only get worse for Arsenal realistically in terms of injuries moving forward. So ultimately, the penalty ended up being scored by Kluivert. It was a pretty calm penalty. Besides that, there's not a whole lot to talk about with this match. It really is a match that totally depends on the red card. And on one hand, it's a shame. But on the other hand, as a Liverpool fan, I'm pretty hype. But Arsenal fans of other clubs, be honest with me. Tell me what you have to say about just everything that happened today, because it really feels like a total flashpoint in the whole Premier League season and title race. And I just know Arsenal fans are going to be fuming. I don't watch Arsenal fan TV like ever. I got to watch it tonight. I have to watch it tonight. It's just, I have to. It's going to be pure cinema. So thank you so much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new, like if you enjoyed it, and tune in tomorrow for my live streams of City versus Wolves and Liverpool versus Chelsea. That's going to be an absolute huge doubleheader on Sunday. So join me for that if you so please. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Sideline Sedo. Peace.